What's up, family? I'm the guy that showcase and promote African-American businesses operating here in the greater Phoenix area. Please help me further support these amazing entrepreneurs by not only supporting my YouTube channel or following me on Facebook, but also stop by their businesses and give them a little economic support. My name is Shaka Shabazz, and this is African-American-Made. Okay, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm glad to be in the building, man. This is beautiful.
Thank you so much for giving me some of your time. I know you're a very busy man. Won't you tell me your name and the name of the business?
What's good? This is TJ SupaHype. You guys, I'm currently, fervently known as just TJ Supa across the board, from Radio Supa and the Rock the Mic show, the premier music video show.
Okay. And again, thank you, because I know you're a very busy man. You interview everyone that's happening in the city and beyond.
Yeah.
So it's my pleasure to interview you and tell your story.
Right. It's my honor to be here, actually.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Thank you. So won't you tell me where you're from and how did you get started in the music business?
Man, originally my whole family's from New York, you know what I mean? I consider myself to be from New York, somewhere between New York and Arizona. We moved here when I was about 4 from New York, and I came up here. My beginning in music happened probably, I consider my beginning around the age of 10. We would listen to, watch MTV before MTV Raps, and they would play a lot of rock videos, and every once in a while you'll see a rap video pop up. This is before, they just had a show for rap videos, you know what I mean? So I remember I was at my mother's boyfriend's house at the time, and I was running around playing with my brother, and there was a TV on in the room, and I guess it was on MTV or something like that. And I ran into the room, and as I was running through the room, a Run DMC Rockbox video came on.
Oh my goodness.
And it's like, I saw the video, and for me, it's like my whole world stopped and just froze at that point. And it was just the video, and it was me, and I was so enamored, or whatever big word you could use to describe, whatever I was feeling at the time watching this video. It was like everything stopped. And I always consider that the beginning of me in music. I feel like after I saw that video, I remember after that, that's when me and my older brother Chris, who was 2 years older than me, that's when we started to maybe write raps and try to battle each other. That's when, we started to go, get cassettes of other things that were happening, you know what I mean? A Run DMC, and then an EPMD, and then, you know what I mean? And a Public Enemy a little later, you know what I mean? Over the course of time, these things started to come in, but I look at the beginning as happening with that Run DMC video. And then over the course of time, I started to write, and then I would go to school, and then I started rapping in school right around 6th grade, and it just continued to escalate from there. It continued to grow from there, battle rapping all the way through high school, and that's what it was. That was my beginning in music, performing, getting a group together when I was in high school, probably about, sophomore, junior year, after I was just rapping as a solo artist for a while and battling everybody at school, getting a group together and starting to do performances and things like that, winning a couple of shows. That was kind of my beginning.
Just murdering young MCs.
Right. We were just
crushing it.
We were killing it. I was killing it. Definitely killing it. Yeah, I remember.
So you had that seed planted.
Yeah.
And you're talking about golden age of hip hop.
Yes.
Where you had so many different dynamic flavors.
So many different ones.
So many flavors, and it was just such a colorful time.
Right.
And when you said Run DMC Rockbox, a big smile went on my face.
Yeah.
For me, it was the King of Rock.
King of Rock, yes,
and,
yeah.
Man, it just didn't see it that way being young at the time, but it really defined you at that point.
Yeah.
You remember the feeling, and you're just in awe. These guys who are just around the way guys to us,
right?
That are doing something so major and speaking to us in a way, but at the same time, taking it worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a beautiful time, man.
Yeah.
I think that the younger cats, no shade to them, but they're doing now, they're murdering, killing it today. But I don't think you have to have been there, whether you were in music
Right,
or not,
right,
or peripheral.
right.
It's just an amazing time for that. And, so yeah, definitely can identify with that.
Yeah.
So it started performing.
Yes.
And then after that, you decided to get an education in
I did.
the technical side of music.
This is what happened, man. I was, just like I said, I was rapping all through high school. We had a show, and at this show, rapping all through high school. That's a different story. Rapping all through high school, and I was coming to the end of high school, and I remember talking to Mom, like, big salute out to Mom for this one. Big salute out to Sam Miller. I would always say, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm out of high school. I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to go to school anymore. I'm done, And Mom was like, you know what? I want you to just go to school and just take one class. Just go to college and take one class, So I said, okay, cool. And at the time, I happened to still be in Arizona at this time. So I'm about 18, I graduated, and I'm like looking at school to see what kind of class I can actually take that has something to do with something I'm interested in. Music was the only thing I was really interested in at this point. You know what I mean? So I'm looking for anything music related, and I can't find anything. And then I see they have a class on music business. I'm like, that's interesting. That sounds interesting. You know what? I can learn more about this and be a rapper. So I took the music business class, and I talked a friend of mine into coming to the class with me. Salute out to Shogun. I talked to him, and I'm like, yo, let's come to this class. So we're in this music business class. That's the only class I'm in. And I'm taking this music business class, and I'm starting to learn things. So it's starting to kind of open up some doors in my mind. And somewhere, towards the end of this music business class, I remember being on the phone with my man, and he's having a conversation with me one night, and he's looking through the New Times. And he's looking through the New Times, and we're looking for what else, and he's like, hey, look, I just found this recording school down here, Conservatory Recording Arts. Yo, you know what? We should go to that. And I'm like, what do they do? And he's like, they teach you how to do engineering and all this other. I don't know what any of this stuff is. They teach you how to do engineering and all this other stuff and music engineering. And I'm like, that sounds so crazy. I think I'm gonna do that. So when I finish this music business class, I'm gonna go to the school at the conservatory. Mm-hmm. So had another conversation with Mom. Mom is like, okay, cool. So let's get this moving. So I finished the music business class, and I go to school at the conservatory. I get started there, and the school was really small. Big salute out to Kurt Ham. I think he's still the administrator. Or I remember them having about 5 or 6 employees, you know what I mean? A main engineer, a MIDI teacher, and then Kurt, and then maybe 3 people in the office, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how that went. So I was going to that school, and I remember at some point Kurt came in, and he just came in the room. We were teaching, and we were in the middle class, and he came in, and there was only 10 students in each class. And he walks in, and he was like, I don't know what started this conversation, but he said, hey, 8 out of the 10 of you need to leave the state. And we're like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean leave the state? Yeah, there's no music industry here. You need to leave. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, that's interesting. Like, you have to leave. Like, there's no music industry here. So we finished the class, and with that thought process, I'm thinking like, we gotta leave. Like, I don't know what to do, So I have another conversation with Mom, and we land on the idea of, okay, there's a music industry in New York, and I have family in New York because that's where I originally moved from. I remember it came to the point where, to graduate there, you have to finish an internship somewhere.
That's right.
So it came to that point where it was like, okay, you're getting close to the end of class. Now you need to get ready to go on your internship. You know what I mean? So we're like, okay. So I went home when it was time to go to the internship, and I pulled out all my records and cassettes. Records are this big vinyl disc.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Slow down.
Right.
Slow down.
I pulled out.
Explain it to the
right. I had to pull out this big vinyl disc, and you put it down on something. You put a turn. Yeah. So records and cassettes. I pulled them out, and I remember spreading them across the floor. And I started looking at them, and I was like, let's see, I got a Boogie Down Productions over here. I got a LL Cool J Bad record. I got a Steady B record, you know what I mean? And I started looking at the record labels that were on these projects, you know what I mean? Right. And I remember like, okay, look, there's a Def Jam right there. Okay, there's a Jive Records right here on this Steady B and this Boogie Down Productions, you know what I mean? So that's how I chose the places that I wanted to go. So I went back to school and I'm like, yo, here, I want to intern in New York at Jive Records, Def Jam, and 3 other places that I put down. And I'm like, okay, cool, and that was it. And then, I don't know, a week or 2 later, you know, Mary, beautiful lady there, she comes back and she's like, yo, we talked to Jive Records and Jive Records wants you in New York. And I'm like, this is kind of amazing. I think I'm 19 at the time, and Jive Records in New York is asking for me. I haven't met anybody. They put me on the phone with the lady. She was extremely nice. Karen Dillett was her name. Extremely nice lady, and she talked to me, and everything just seemed beautiful. And then I remember I started prepping to leave, and you know, I had like $320 in my pocket at the time that I went to New York. You know, I owed my brother probably 160 or something like that of that. He was good. He never asked for it back. You know what I'm saying?
You probably had about one day's meal,
just like that. You know,
and transportation money.
Right, and you've been in New York before, so I was staying in Long Island. That's where my family had a house. My uncle Leroy. They had a house on Long Island, so I'm staying there. So you know, and Jive Records is in the middle of Manhattan, so you know the transportation back and forth from Long Island to Manhattan 5 days a week, it starts to get costly. You know what I mean? And I have no income coming in. I'm at Jive Records with no income coming in, and my mother is sending me money to live. My mother and my father are sending me money to live, and it's crazy when I tell this story, because it's like I have to thank them so much, because you know, this went on for about 6 months before anything changed.
Yeah, you have so many hours that you have to
satisfy. And when I worked at Jive, I worked there like a full-time employee. I was there 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day. Like when I was in New York, I was working in New York. I wasn't out there just chilling and hanging out. Like I was really out there working, you know? And over the course of time, I started to get my own phone line there. Then I started to get my own computer. Then I started to get some jobs like, yo, you know, we're gonna have you transcribe the lyrics from this album so we can have this. And I really started to create a position that I'm sure somebody got paid for at some point. You know what I mean? But that's what was happening. So that situation went in, and I was there, and things were great. And I remember I was on the floor over mine. I worked on the 7th floor in the A&R department, and I was on the 8th floor, walking around doing something. And one of the ladies on the 8th floor, because everybody saw me so often, they came by and they were like, hey, look, we need an intern. If you want an intern for us, we'll pay your food and transportation and everything. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, because I'm not getting paid anything right now. Right. So I went to my boss and I was like, hey, I love working for you, but I was upstairs and they said they'll pay my food and transportation if I go work for them. And she's like, dang. And she loved me at that point. You know, I think I'm believing that I was helpful if I had a computer and a phone line. And she went into her boss's office, and they weren't there for a long time. It had to be about 30, 45 minutes. And I'm just sitting out here, just okay, doing a little work, wondering what's going on, like, did I do something wrong, you know, whatever. And she comes out, she's like, hey, okay, look, we're gonna pay you, but we were supposed to be paying you the whole time. So now we're gonna back pay you for 3 months. Wow. And I'm like, this is amazing. That was a jackpot for me. Like, you know, not necessarily under today's standards, but at the time, being an intern who wasn't getting anything, I had to portion out. I got to make sure I eat 2 pieces of pizza a day for lunch, the $3 pizza and drink special, you know what I'm saying?
Those slices in New York went a long way.
Just like that. Just like they held me down, you know what I mean? So that stuff happened, and then after that, they were paying me, and I got to call mom and be like, yo, mom, look, you don't have to send me money anymore. Like, they're paying my food and transportation now. They were so proud of me. It was great. It worked out good. And at some point, it got to a point where they had to let me go. And and they said it wasn't anything you did. We just have to let you go. So I never really got a clear reason of what happened, but I got let go. Luckily, while I was there was another lady that I worked with who had left a couple of months ago, and she went to be a manager at a major recording studio, the Hit Factory. So once I was let go from here, my boss made a phone call to her and said, hey, you remember TJ? He worked with you? Yeah. We just let him go. So if you have a job, hire him. So then a week after that, after I got let go from Jive, she called me from the Hit Factory, which is a super major recording studio. And they said, hey, we want you to come over here and work. So then I got hired.
Before you went to Jive,
right.
What were your responsibilities, kid coming out of Arizona,
right.
Conservatory, recording engineering?
Right.
You're not doing any of that.
No.
So what sort of skills did you pick up in that first entree into the business?
Yeah. I learned a lot of things. I always leaned more towards music business than engineering. You know what I mean? I respect that side so much. I feel like you have to have an ear for it. I have a partial ear, but I don't consider myself having an ear enough to just sit down and mix records. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I know how to do it, you know what I'm saying, technically, but I don't consider myself having a good enough ear to just, I'm engineering this session and I'm gonna handle the mixing and levels and all that. I don't consider myself to be there. So I always lean towards music business. So when I got to Jive, it worked out perfect because I was in a music business setting. That was the first time I sent a fax to a fax machine. It was the first of so many different things, you know what I mean? Like, so it was just a lot of like learning the behind the scenes on the industry, office decor, how different things work, you know, watching, you know, charts, looking at charts, or, you know, first understanding charts and Billboard charts and sales numbers and things like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. All those things occurred.
The valuable stuff.
Yeah, the valuable behind the scenes music business stuff. All those things started happening at Jive Records.
How was that experience for you, meeting what I'm going to assume was some of your idols or some of your people that you know?
Right. So Jive Records was kind of like, I love the process that I went through. It was hectic, but I love the process that I went through because Jive Records was kind of like an introduction to everything for me. I would go there and every once in a while a celebrity would come in, you know what I mean? You know, we had somebody from De La Soul, he would show up, Pastanusa's sister worked there. Keith Murray would pop up every once in a while. So every once in a while we would have a celebrity come through, you know, at Jive Records in my time there. Yeah. The Hit Factory was a different situation because we were
The Hit Factory is a recording studio.
That's a super major recording studio.
Yeah, it's like legendary.
Yeah, so when I left Jive and went to Hit Factory, that's when it started to turn into seeing celebrities almost on a daily to weekly basis. Like, it was just that this was just the place this was one of the places that if you were a major recording artist in hip hop or R&B, or even not in hip hop and R&B, but that was becoming the more prevalent, you know, music genre at the time, you wanted to go to Hit Factory. It was like a thing to, yo, I got to record at the Hit Factory. So this was like the it place. So we would be there, and I remember early on, you know, right after I got there, they're like, hey, Jodeci's coming to do a mastering session, you know. Can you stay the night and just watch over the Jodeci session? So like a couple months after, within the first 2 months, I'm staying overnight, and the whole Jodeci crew is in there. You know what I mean? And they're just asking me, hey, you like the music? My girl listens to you guys. You know what I'm saying? How'd she feel? She loved the album. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm there watching that session, and it was just really interesting. You know.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What is the professional decorum of working among these artists? I mean, big and small, right?
Yeah.
So what is the professional etiquette that you're trained as a house person?
This is one of the things that was really interesting to me was like, you know, when we were in recording school, I remember they were teaching us like, you know what? If you know, in terms of like engineering, don't outshine the engineer. You know what I'm saying? If there's something you notice that's wrong, don't put the engineer on blast. Say it to him really quiet. When you're there, you're not there you know, to put attention on yourself. You're there to focus on making sure that the situation's working. It's a situation that I think it's an understandable skill that you need to learn if you're going to be in the industry. But at the same point, there was a period that it worked against me, and I'll tell you about that in a soon. But that was kind of more the decorum. Like, yo, if you're working in this industry around these celebrities, you can't be starstruck. You have to be there to make the situation work. You know, you're part of the solution for getting this session done. So you have to behave like that. Mm-hmm. You know, that was kind of the etiquette that we learned going in there. So, you know, again, being in Jive and seeing that, and then, you know, that's why it was a good lead up to the Hit Factory, because, you know, having that, it's like I'll see one every once in a while and we're talking about it, and I know I need to work to get these things in place for these celebrities. So when you get to Hit Factory, it's like they're just here every day. If they're not in your room, they're on the first floor, or they're in two studios, or they're coming from one studio to talk to somebody in another studio, or they're coming in your lounge. You just see them. TLC will just walk through, Big walk through with Charlie Baltimore. Like, so many people would come through. L.A. Reid, who was LaFace Records, which is Usher. Yeah, you know, you're familiar with him. Usher, TLC, Outkast, all that other stuff, man. LA came through one day, and he was really good friends with this engineer, Herb Powers, who's really significant for the next part of the story. But LA came through, and I had built a really good relationship with Herb, and Herb was like, yo, LA, that guy TJ raps, you need to listen to him. And I'm like, okay. So LA comes out and he talks to me and he's like, yo, TJ, I heard you rap. Herb told me you rap. Can you rap for me? And I'm like, you know, so I'm going back to what I'm thinking in recording school, because I'm dumb at this point. I'm 20. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anything. I've been in the industry for a little over a year. I don't understand everything. And I'm like, I'm at work. I said, I can't put attention on me, even though the dude who owns probably the biggest record label in Atlanta is coming to ask me to rap for him. And I'm like, can I do it for you later?
Oh man!
Can I do it for
the
you?
artist that could have been.
Right. That right there. Right. That was my first opportunity. I lost for.
The next time you saw me, it's like, who are you?
Yeah. I just lost it. That was my first contract that I ever lost right there.
Wow.
Yo, can I rap for you a little bit later? You know what I'm saying?
Oh
like,
my goodness!
And he's like, oh, okay, sure.
You got cats outside the studio with all kind of bars clamoring to get in there.
It was terrible.
The knife fights outside of the studio trying to get to L.A. Reid.
Right.
And
that's it. I'm just like, they told me in school that I gotta, like, I can't, you know, how it's gonna look.
Let me chop it up with you later.
I'm about to go in here and rap. Yeah, how's that gonna look? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, TJ, like, I need to go back in time and be like, yo, TJ, you need to go in here and rap. That's what you need to do. You know what I mean? So
it's a balance, right? Because
it's a balance. It is.
Yeah, you're not walking around passing your card out and saying, "Oh, yo, look what I do." You can't do that kind of thing.
I'm here trying to work. You know what I mean? And every once in a while, you'll meet somebody, and then you guys will do some work out of the studio after work. But I didn't want to just be at work, just like, yo, I rap. You know, how would that look? They'd kick me out the building.
Right.
So it was a really interesting experience. But the Hit Factory was just over and over. And Mariah would be in there, and then they recorded a video with Boyz II Men in the elevator at the Hit Factory. Yeah. That was at the Hit. That was right outside of the door that was to the area that I worked in. You know what I mean? So all these things are like happening, and I'm there for years. I'm there for a couple of years, you know. And in the middle of the process of me being there, Herb, who I didn't know at the time, because again, I'm 20, so I'm dumb. So I didn't know at the time, but he was like one of the biggest mastering engineers in the world. Yeah, like he had done so many projects. He did Planet Rock. You know what I'm saying? He did Rakim's first album. Like so many of these things that he did that were so amazing. Usher's album. This was a big engineer at the Hit Factory. So, and we're friends, and I don't know what's happening. We're friends. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on, but we're cool, you know. And he's the one who sent LA to talk to me. So LA's like, oh, Herb just said it. Of course I'm gonna go. So I'm there, and Herb is over the course. He's like, yo, check this out. I'm leaving soon. I'm gonna go open my own studio. And he's like, when I leave, I want to take you with me. And I'm, oh, of course, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good. Let's do it. You know. So 3 years went by. I was at the Hit Factory, and you know, it was good. You know, it was a stressful environment just because the environment there in that music is crazy, and then, you know, it's just a crazy environment. You know what I mean? Nonetheless, Herb leaves and he goes to open his own studio. So he takes me over there, and then I'm his assistant manager of that studio. And things are going really good over there, like beautiful. It's more of the same. Then LA starts coming over here, and then, you know, Pebbles will come in. And then Puff moves all of his stuff, and he starts coming by for everything. So we're getting everything from Bad Boy. We're getting everything from Elektra. We're getting everything from Motown. We're getting everything from, it's just, so it's just starting to turn into an everyday thing. I'll Be Sure being one day. MC Light will be in the next day. Chubb Rock will be in the next day. Jimmy Jam will be in the next day. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And this is every single day. And there we were booked up for a month and a half to 3 months.